All right. Hello. Welcome to night two. I am a couple minutes late because Zoom all of a sudden needed me to sign in and get my password to work. Of course. All right. Let's see. You're all coming in. Perfect. Let me get my screens up. All right. Okay, get that. Let me share my screen. Tonight is going to be all about hormonal balance. It's coming off of the stress night because stress is an important part to being able to create hormonal balance. And I'll show you why tonight. That stress has to be addressed first before we go in heavy handed and try to expect hormones to change because hormones are always going to respond to the amount of stress going on. And so we have to understand stress before we go into hormonal balance. And I forgot in the replay to send the prompt to have you answer the question that I had for you. So I'm going to put the question in today's replay, and then I will draw two winners tomorrow. There we go. That's what we'll do. So watch for that. I am going to share my screen. All right, there we go. And you can use the chat Q&A anytime. And I will make sure and save time at the end to answer your questions. If I see them pop up as well during, I can make sure to answer them as well. And if you are new tonight, if you weren't here last night, but this is your first live night and you are, and it's your first night, I would love to know what you are hoping to learn in the Right Way week. Last night, I had everyone tell me what they were hoping to learn. Most people were somewhere perimenopausal, some wanted to lose weight finally and be done with it. Many of them wanted to manage stress, things like that. So I would love to know why you're here if this is your first night live with me. And all right, so imagine a body that's in perfect balance, one that actually loses weight with ease. And I want you to know that this isn't a fantasy. This isn't a thing that you can't have. It's achievable, totally achievable when we understand how our bodies work. And I want you to remember tonight, and I said it many times last night, that your body will always respond in the way that respond positively in a way that it feels safest. And it's your responsibility to provide your body with a safe environment. So today we're going to really talk about how to create that safe environment for effortless weight loss. And I want you to remember that this week is not that weight loss does not mean health. So you'll often see the words interchanged. I want to be healthy, so I want to lose weight, so I'm healthy, but that's not the truth because weight loss does not mean healthy. Whereas if you change them around, health will equal weight loss. A healthy body will lose weight easily. And I want you to remember that over and over again. Write it down, put it in your phone, write it on your mirror. Because when your focus is truly to build health, your weight loss will become a natural side effect. And weight loss does not build the side effect of health. So do not confuse the two. And your actions are the most important thing to focus on and not the number on the scale. Your body fat is actually largely controlled by your hormones, which in fact are dramatically influenced by the quality and the quantity of your nutrition, how much you consume and when you consume. And then hormones will be the ones to determine your hunger, your satiety, where you store fat, how much you store fat, and then when and if you burn body fat. And here's the foundation of hormonal balance, and it's blood sugar. It's the blood sugar stability and blood sugar regulation. Because here's what happens when we eat. When we eat, your blood sugar will rise. When your blood sugar rises from your food, insulin is a hormone that comes in and it moves that food into the cell to be used for energy. And then blood sugar stabilizes. So you eat, your body absorbs the glucose from that meal, Insulin comes in, takes that glucose, moves it into the cell, and now you have energy. That's the basics of blood sugar. Honestly, you don't really even need to know anything more than that your blood sugar will rise. Insulin removes the blood sugar from the bloodstream and puts it into the cell to be used for energy, and then your blood sugar stabilizes. But here's the problem is that many times we don't have stable blood sugar. And when blood sugar is unstable, it will lead to a cascade of hormonal issues. This is really the essence of metabolic syndrome that you probably hear a lot about now, especially in the media, now that GLP-1s are around and they're very common and very frequently used. And it's because our society has a huge metabolic problem. And this all stems from blood sugar. So, too many highs and lows in your blood sugar will lead to insulin resistance. And this it means that you're having lots of high blood sugar episodes, which will then follow with a low blood sugar episode. And when that happens over and over and over again, your insulin becomes rather numb to the cue of blood sugar because it's happening all the time. Just like yesterday when we talked about stress and cortisol, that your body just becomes numb to that stress response. The same thing actually happens with insulin. And then what happens is that our blood sugar and insulin don't talk to each other like they were in the beginning of time when you were born, right? When they were when your cells were very healthy and when hormones were working really well. And so then we have insulin resistance, and that leads to elevated blood sugar. And then when insulin is around too often, it's going to be sending the signal to your body to store food as body fat. When we start to store food as body fat, eventually we will then lead into estrogen dominance because blood sugar will inhibit your body's ability to take the hormone testosterone and keep it as testosterone. It actually moves it over into estrogen. So there's a factor in there that is missing, and now we become estrogen dominant. When we become estrogen dominant, the other thing that happens is that progesterone starts to decrease because estrogen and progesterone are yin yang hormones. When one is up, the other one is down, and vice versa. That's how it's supposed to work. But if we have estrogen dominance, that means estrogen is around too much, too often throughout your cycle. Even if you're perimenopausal and your cycles are erratic or irregular, and even if you're postmenopausal, you can also be estrogen dominant. So you have too much estrogen, progesterone actually never gets a chance to rise enough to offset that estrogen. And this leads to estrogen dominant types of symptoms, which is increased body fat, lots of brain fog, periods that are very uncomfortable, lots of bloating, PMS, moodiness, anxiety, depression. Those are very common symptoms of estrogen dominance. And you can see how this is all correlated actually to your nutrition, what you're eating, the quality and the quantity, and how much with your meal timing really impacts this. And this imbalance of estrogen to progesterone and your insulin resistance, this is the imbalance at the root cause of most hormonal imbalances, especially for women in midlife. It really is that simple. I know it can feel like hormonal imbalances and everything I just said, you're probably like, what the hell did she just say? No worries. We're going to keep talking about it here. But it really is as simple as what you eat, how much you eat, and when you eat, and then the quality of your foods. And then also your stress as well. And many times we think that the hormonal balance is just this big web of confusion and that you don't actually have control over it. And that's absolutely not true. You absolutely have control over it through insulin. Yes, Melissa, birth control pills definitely have an effect on this because they turn off ovulation. And progesterone is created from ovulation. So if you're not ovulating, you're not creating progesterone. And what will happen is that you will have estrogen dominance from the lack of progesterone. So, and then also, if you're not using birth control pills for the purpose of birth control, many times this is you're trying to escape your cycle because you're having an uncomfortable cycle, because your cycle is going wonky, you're bleeding too much, it's uncomfortable. And these are all symptoms of estrogen dominance. And birth control pills will mask that for you because you're not going to ovulate. So you're not going to experience that heavy bleeding on the offset of it. But underlying, you still have that issue going on. So birth control pills will band-aid that, but it's not actually solving for it because once you go off of birth control, then you're going to deal with estrogen dominance and likely you're going to deal with it a little more intense than what it was in the first place. Plus, birth control pills really throw things off on a cellular level. They're not great for your gut. They also deplete a lot of minerals and nutrients. And quite frankly, at this time in your life, you don't really have minerals and nutrients that you can just be like depleting and being cool with that. So they have you on them to try to stabilize your mood. So here's the thing, Melissa, is that you don't have a mood problem, right? You have a hormone problem. And the birth control is just masking it. And so I'm guessing your mood was due to PMS mood. This is what I'm guessing is why they use birth control. And that would be, you know, a very common estrogen dominant type of symptom. So there's a lot more going on here than just like, we need to shut your cycle off. The truth is like, you never need to actually shut your cycle off to heal your body. There are many other things that you can do to get to the root cause to actually solve for this versus trying to put a band-aid over top of it. Okay, so blood sugar instability and hormonal imbalances are very closely interconnected. And then many symptoms are also going to overlap, and it's going to create a complex web of health issues. My words are not coming out tonight. Health issues. So let's talk about what like these symptoms actually are and how they manifest, both with blood sugar stability, so you can see those symptoms, and then the hormonal imbalance symptoms. And so you can notice, like, is this something that I am struggling with, and can I start to correct it? So first of all, energy symptoms with blood sugar. The most common one is that you have fatigue after eating. And this indicates that you likely had a blood sugar spike and the fatigue, you're coming off of a blood sugar crash. And this is going to be you looking for caffeine at 2 p.m., looking for sugar, snacks, anything to try to stay awake. And this is often why people are just very sluggish in the afternoon. And it's because you are coming off of a blood sugar crash. And then for hormones, the reason why you feel fatigued after eating due to blood sugar issues, but down the road, it's a sign of adrenal fatigue and burnout. And it's because your cortisol is bottomed out, likely from a period of high stress. Now cortisol is bottomed out and your body's just not producing energy. Mood symptoms could be anxiousness, irritability, brain fog from blood sugar. This is because when your blood sugar is low from being high, just so you know, if your blood sugar is low, it's because it was high before. And your blood sugar is high because your meals are unbalanced, your carbohydrate intake is too high, and it's not counterbalanced with your protein and your fat. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but that's how blood sugar becomes unstable. And then you'll have a low blood sugar response, which will then come in and look like anxiety, brain fog, anxiousness. And on the other side of hormones, this looks like cortisol imbalances because anytime you have a drop in blood sugar, it's going to wake up your cortisol because it feels emergent to your body that you don't have enough sugar in your bloodstream. And so cortisol is going to be like, oh, well, we need to come in and to go find sugar. So now you're going to have a cortisol spike from that. And when you do that too often, whether it's from stress, and this is the internal stress we're talking about from yesterday. Yesterday, we talked a lot about the external stressors. But the internal stress is really blood sugar related. It's the imbalance of blood sugars, the low blood sugar, and then your body goes and uses cortisol to try to get you out of that hole that you put yourself in. The other one that's common is relying on caffeine to get through the afternoon. And that will also interrupt your cortisol balance because caffeine is going to rev up your cortisol production. And we know that you want to create cortisol, but at the right times of day. And if you're seeking caffeine, when you should be having natural energy, we know that you actually have a energy issue here, which is always going to stem back to your blood sugar. Sleep problems, falling asleep and staying asleep. So many times I will have women, especially in midlife, come and tell me that they fall asleep fine, but they wake up at night and then they can't fall back asleep. One of the reasons that this happens is actually because of your blood sugar. When you wake up at night, oftentimes what's happening is you're having nocturnal hypoglycemia. And this just means that your blood sugar is starting to fall from likely eating in the evenings. And when your blood sugar starts to fall, your body thinks this is an emergency. We need to wake her up. So she eats, even though your body actually totally knows how to figure this out. Any sort of sudden drop in your blood sugar, you're still going to wake up. And so you'll wake up and you'll think, oh, I just must have to pee. So I'm going to go pee. But then you go back to bed and you can't fall back asleep. This is a very common problem from blood sugar instability. And it's because of how you're eating in the evening hours. And then also, this correlates over into hormones. When we're estrogen dominant, we will have low progesterone, and progesterone is really needed to be able to help you fall asleep, but also stay asleep because it puts your brain into a deep sleep pattern. And when your progesterone is not high enough, because estrogen is taking over, you're not going to have that deep restorative sleep anymore. You're also going to have digestive symptoms. And this one might feel like how does that happen? But it is very closely related because when blood sugar is high and low and high and low, this is a stressful thing for your body. And when your body is under a lot of stress, so every time your blood sugar plummets and goes low, it's going to produce cortisol, and cortisol is going to go up. Cortisol, when produced too much, too often, becomes catabolic. Catabolic just means that it breaks you down. So it breaks down muscle, it breaks down also your gut lining. And because cortisol is not choosy on how it finds energy, it's just going to take any sort of energy that it can. So it's taking energy not really from fat sources where we want it to, is taking energy from our very precious muscle that we're working really hard for. It's taking energy from our gut lining, that tissue lining in there, and converts it into energy. And so our gut lining starts to break down and it becomes very leaky. And what will happen is that you'll eat seemingly normal foods and all of a sudden you start to bloat after you eat. And that's because food particles are actually getting through that gut lining and out into the outside, and your body reacts to that and it bloats your belly. And this is going to happen because of stress. And so we can see that over time, you would eventually start to experience digestive symptoms. This happened to me. I think it was probably like 3 years ago at this point. I was like, what the heck is going on with my body? I remember I went out to dinner with my friends. We had pita bread things and hummus. And I also had a cocktail. And I knew I had been bloating significantly, but like I didn't talk about it. I didn't I wasn't finding a solution at that point. I was just like, what's going on? And I remember showing my friends, I'm like, you guys look at this. Look. And I like pushed down on my belly. I looked like I was 5 months pregnant. I'm not even kidding. And they were like, oh my God, what is going on? And I was like, I don't know. But I had a very leaky gut due to prolonged stress. And it's taking me a long time to be able to get my gut to not do that anymore. It's taken a lot of restoration, lots of blood sugar stability things, lots of digestive work. But that was my next step symptom from my increased stress. Understanding these connections will help you address the root cause of your symptoms. And then in Mindfully Well, we take the holistic approach to both balance your blood sugar and your hormones, which will then lead into sustainable weight loss and your overall well-being. So this little chart here is to just help you visualize what's actually going on so you can see how hormonal balance does stem from your food, what you eat, how much of it, and your meal timing. So you eat, your glucose goes up and insulin will go up, right? That's supposed to happen. We don't want to stop that from happening, but we do want to make sure that the glucose going up and the insulin being released is in moderate amounts, not in high amounts. Then what will happen is your glucose will go down. So let's say this was a really high glucose spike from an imbalanced meal. Your insulin overshoots it, and then it brings all of that energy into the cell to be used. Or sorry, all that food to be used into the cell for energy. Your glucose will go down because of that, but then it goes down too far, too quick. It alerts the response of cortisol. Cortisol is released because your body's freaking out a little bit. And then it goes over here and it's going to, in this period here, it finds glucose in your stores, like in your liver stores and in your muscle stores. It's going to go find some glucose. It's going to release it in the absence of food. Okay. So you're just having a blood sugar spike here due to stress, not because you ate anything at this point. Then insulin is going to come out again. You can see how insulin continues to be pulsed out. And this is how that resistance happens, where it doesn't actually start to work anymore. Too much insulin around prevents testosterone to be used and increases estrogen. So now we've got too much estrogen coming in. And too much estrogen will offset progesterone because they're always going to be a yin yang effect. And then we're going to lead over into body fat storage. I know sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but just remember that this always comes back to your glucose stability. So the effects of hormones and body fat. So increased cortisol will promote fat storage because the body feels unsafe. Remember back to yesterday, we always want your body to feel safe. Insulin resistance will make it harder for that food to get into the cell to be used for energy. And it's going to lead into more fatigue and more fat storage. So if you have food sitting outside of the cell, not getting into the cell to be used for energy because insulin isn't working the way it should, you're going to feel tired, right? Because that's where you get your energy. And then also if insulin is around, it's going to lead to fat storage. Your body is always going to opt to use the sugar in your bloodstream for immediate energy versus going into your fat stores and use that for energy. It wants the path of least resistance. So if insulin's around, your brain says, why would we burn body fat? There must be sugar here. Let's burn the sugar in the bloodstream. Then estrogen will rise and it becomes dominant. And the other thing about estrogen becoming dominant is that estrogen grows things. This is why periods can be very uncomfortable when estrogen is dominant because it's growing that uterine lining too thick. And the other thing that it grows is body fat. And then when we have more body fat, your body fat in midlife actually becomes its own endocrine organ. So as we start to get older, our bodies will naturally start to produce less estrogen because our ovaries aren't going to produce it for us anymore. Then we start to add on more body fat because progesterone isn't offsetting estrogen. And then body fat is like, I need to pick up the slack here. Ovaries aren't producing estrogen. I'm going to produce estrogen. And now we've got a double whammy of estrogen from body fat and body fat from estrogen. And it just keeps going in this cycle over and over again. So where do we start? We start with blood sugar stability. This is the number one place to start. We don't need to go in heavy-handed with hormones and things like that if our blood sugar is not stable. So this is the key to hormonal balance. And we always want to buffer our meals with 3 buffers. Whenever you have carbohydrates, so we know carbohydrates are the foods that will raise your blood sugar. That's the thing that's going to get your blood sugar to go up. We don't need to avoid carbohydrates. Let me say that straight out. You never need to avoid carbohydrates as long as you're eating them in order to have blood sugar stability. Here's the other thing is that it sounds very simple to just cut out carbohydrates and that would solve your problems. It does not solve your problems because a low carbohydrate diet for a woman in midlife is incredibly stressful for her body. You're already stressed out. Your body can't take more stress at this point. Do not go into a low carb diet. You're actually going to put your body into a worse spot. You're going to end up gaining more weight when you're done and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. Do not do that. You can have carbohydrates, but you need to make sure that you're having them in a very well balanced way. That just means that you have your carbohydrates, but you also have them with with protein. You also have them with fat, and then you also have them with fiber. So this would look like you're going to have a baked potato at your mealtime, and that's your carbohydrate. You're going to make sure to always have it with protein, which would be a steak or a piece of chicken. You're going to have it with fat. So that means you're going to put some butter on your baked potato, and you're going to have it with fiber, which would be your vegetables. And you're going to have a nice big side of broccoli or green beans or whatever suits your fancy. That's a beautifully balanced meal. And that's as simple as it can be. Um, and we know that there are so many times out there that we're just eating starchy carbohydrates that raise our blood sugar all by themselves. And there's nothing there to buffer the absorption of that carbohydrate. So it gets absorbed very quickly and your blood sugar spikes up quickly, insulin spikes up quickly, and then everything drops low. Then cortisol comes out, and then you're just on this vicious cycle. So you can have carbohydrates. I want you to have carbohydrates, but I want you to make sure to always buffer them with protein, fat, and fiber. The other thing to create blood sugar stability is to eat with the sun. There are so many times that we are eating most of our calories later on in the day, and we wake up, we're not hungry because we ate too many calories later on in the day. And now we are not eating in the morning when we actually need to be eating in the morning. This is how we start with hormonal balance with cortisol as well. Your body is actually very receptive to food in the morning. It's insulin works better in the morning than it does in the evening. That's why we have sugar cravings in the evening, right? It makes sense now. So you want to be eating in the morning. You don't want to be eating so much in the evenings. So start your breakfast out right away in the morning, eat within an hour of waking, and then 2 to 3 hours before bed, you want to stop eating. This is going to help with blood sugar stability and also your cortisol melatonin balance. These are other two main hormones. The other thing that you need for blood sugar stability is you need to build and maintain muscle. This is something that I really drive home in my Mindfully Well practice because muscle is literally is literally a sponge for glucose. So your muscle just like soaks it up, takes it out of that bloodstream, and you don't have to use insulin for that process. So you will not only become more insulin sensitive, so that means that your insulin works really well to shuttle that sugar out of your bloodstream, but also it requires less insulin. And that just makes everything flow better when it comes to blood sugar stability. So those are the three main things. You want to make sure that you balance your meals, build and maintain muscle, and eat with the sun. So this is why this is so important for me to teach you, because many times you just go in thinking that I'm going to lose weight, so I'm going to eat less, and you think it's supposed to work. And at this point in our lives, it's not going to work because hormones are likely imbalanced from a lifetime of stress at this point, from more blood sugar instability, we become more insulin resistant as we get older. And if you've ever done a traditional diet, it is never going to address the hormonal imbalance that you are experiencing. You've tried many approaches in the past of cutting calories, eliminating food groups, or following the latest fad diet. But for women dealing with hormonal imbalances, particularly in midlife, these methods are totally going to fall short. And because hormonal imbalances require a specialized approach, traditional diets are going to be a one size fit all, and they just assume all bodies work the same way and that it's just simple calorie math. It's all that matters. But here's the truth: when your hormones are out of balance, your body does not operate by simple math. Insulin resistance makes it harder for your body to use energy efficiently from food. Estrogen dominance will promote fat storage and then create more estrogen, and especially around the midsection. And then also your thyroid imbalances get thrown into there and they can slow your metabolism. And this will also make weight loss feel impossible. These hormonal factors are going to require a nuanced, personalized support. It is not going to fit into a one size fit all box. Calorie restrictions can further disrupt the imbalances you might be experiencing. And then if you think, well, if I just eat less, I should lose weight. Well, not so fast, because calorie restriction, severe calorie restriction, will actually exacerbate your hormonal imbalances over time. And that's why many of the clients who come to me can't lose weight because they have done so many calorie restrictive diets that their hormones are imbalanced as a result of that. And those calorie restricting diets can increase your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, which will increase more fat storage and just continue down the that vicious cycle. And many times when you go into a calorie deficit, you might see some short-term weight loss, but you're really setting yourself up for bigger problems down the road. And remember that weight gain is a symptom. It's not the root cause. And this is the most crucial point that you need to remember today, because traditional diets will focus on weight loss as the end goal, and they treat it as that's the only problem to be solved. But in reality, weight gain, especially stubborn weight that will not budge, is a symptom of an underlying imbalance in your body. It could be a sign that your body's dealing with chronic inflammation, that your stress response is overused. It's your body's way of protecting itself in face of hormonal chaos. And solely focusing on weight is going to completely miss the opportunity to address the root cause and create lasting health. And this is why in Mindfully Well, it's different and it's effective. Instead of fighting against your body, we're going to work with it. We dive deep into understanding what's really going on with your unique biochemistry, and we focus on balancing your hormones naturally through nutrition and lifestyle changes. We support your body's stress response. We focus on inflammation and gut health. They're all crucial for hormonal balance, and they provide your body with the nutrients that it needs to truly thrive and not just survive. So the approach in Mindfully Well is comprehensive. I'm not just addressing the symptoms of weight gain, although I know many times you want to lose weight. And yes, that's going to be the side effect goal. But there are root causes that are unique to each of you. And we focus on 5 areas that work together to bring your body back into balance to allow weight loss to be that beautiful side effect. And so you have personalized nutrition for hormonal balancing. And first and foremost, I recognize that nobody is a one size fits all, especially when it comes to hormonal balance. And in this program, I start with a detailed assessment with you, with your current health status, any symptoms you're experiencing, and then I create a personalized protocol for you that's tailored to your specific needs. We also are going to focus on nutrient dense foods. And I drive this home a lot because your body does not use all foods that you eat equally. There are some foods it uses wonderfully, and there are some foods that you may as well just put into the garbage, if we're being honest. And so, if we're going to be eating and if we're going to be putting effort into this, it needs to be nutrient dense foods. And then I'm going to teach you how to actually create blood sugar stability and make sure that your symptoms are improving, that you do have blood sugar stability. Remember, food is information for your body, and I'm going to show you how to use that information to speak directly to your hormones, because your hormones always respond to your environment that you put your body in. We're also going to focus on movement designed for hormonal balance. Listen, exercise is important, but the wrong time or the wrong type of exercise can actually exacerbate hormonal imbalances. And I've designed a movement plan that's appropriate for hormonal balance, and it focuses on exercises that boost metabolism and improve the insulin sensitivity that we talked about without inducing more stress. Because that's the thing, is that we've got to tiptoe around your stress here. Amanda has a question on foods. We mix riced cauliflower with ours. Is a good idea? Absolutely. Yes. Oh, potatoes, you rinse. Yeah, you can totally do that because that really buffers, because that cauliflower rice is your fiber. So that's a buffer. Milk, a glass still good for you? No, I would say no. And orange juice, no. Those are just sugar bombs for you. It's a lot of sugar unnecessarily. I think some milk is okay occasionally, but I don't think it's really necessary. I'd rather have you eat something that is more dense in protein and has less sugars in it. If you look at the sugars on a container of milk, it's like, oh, I didn't know I was having like 10 grams of sugar in this. That's cool. That's just not a useful way to use your sugar, in my opinion. I think that there are other things that you could be eating in place of that. And orange juice is just going to be a full-on blood sugar spike. So Okay, back to working out. So we're going to incorporate strength training to build lean muscle, which is the key for long-term weight management, especially in midlife, and also improves insulin sensitivity, which is the precursor to hormonal balance. I'm going to teach you how to listen to your body and also how to adjust your workouts based on where you are in your menstrual cycle. And this is one of the key things that I really help my clients with because um, my dog is trying to open the closet. Okay. That scared me because um, we don't create the same amount of energy or have the same amount of energy in our bank every single week during our cycle. And there are weeks in which we can really push our bodies so that we get as much muscle as we possibly can in those weeks. And there are also weeks in which we should back off because our body craves more rest. And then we can get ready for the next phase in our cycle. And we do that with cycle-based training in Mindfully Well. And so my goal is to make sure that movement is a tool for you and another way for you to heal, not another stressor on your system. And then, of course, just like I talked about yesterday, we're going to do a lot of stress management. And because stress is the driver of hormonal imbalances and weight gain, especially in midlife. And that's why it's the cornerstone of my program, because I can teach you how to do everything wonderfully. But if we don't address the crap that's going on in your head and creating the stress in your body, then you're not going to get very far. I'm going to teach you practical, easy to implement stress reduction techniques, but also the most important thing is to help you identify your own triggers and develop strategies to manage them because we can meditate till the cows come home. But if we can't ever get control over what's going on over here, your meditation is going to be a waste of time. I'm also going to help to make sure that you're getting into a good sleep routine and you're getting quality sleep because if you're not sleeping, you're not losing weight. And by managing stress, we're going to create an internal environment where your body feels very safe and it's ready to let go of the excess weight. Okay, I lost my spot here. Sorry. So the other thing, so that's the approach, the hormone, movement, stress. There we go. Okay. I also have lab testing in my practice. And the reason why I do this is because it can be very validating for you. So I have two main ones that I offer, although you can also go to your doctor and send me the labs, and I'm happy to look at them. But I do offer Dutch testing, which is a comprehensive hormone analysis. And this test is like the gold standard for hormone testing. I can see what you're creating. I get to also see what's going on with your adrenals and your stress response. So it lets me look at that as well as the amount of stress that's on your body and where is estrogen, where is progesterone, where is testosterone, in addition to how are you detoxing them and your stress. It's a beautiful way to really see what's going on inside your body. I also offer GI map testing. This is a game changer when it comes to addressing your gut health, and it's ultimately connected to your hormonal balance and your weight management. If your gut is off, if you're bloated, if you're constipated, diarrhea, reflux, anything like that, you are not actually using your foods the way you should be using them. And then weight loss will not happen. Your body is feeling undernourished because of your gut. And so that has to be addressed as well. So the power of testing and the reason why I offer this is because it is really validating. These tests provide very concrete data about what's happening on in your body. No more guessing or relying solely on symptoms. No more throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it works, and we can see exactly what's out of balance and address it directly. You also get the personalization with this detailed information. I can create a plan that's truly tailored to you and your issues. And there's no one size fit all. Like try this supplement, see if it works. I'm not going to do that for you. It's very efficient. And by identifying the root cause of what's actually going on with the hormonal imbalances and your weight issues, we get to address them head on. And this will lead to faster results and fewer frustrating plateaus. It's also very motivating. I think seeing your test results can be incredibly motivating because you're like, I am truly feeling this way. I remember the first time I saw my own Dutch test, I was like, I am tired. I told you I was tired. And I just kept second guessing myself, thinking like this is just how it's supposed to feel. But when I saw my Dutch test, I was like, yeah, dang, I am tired. And so then it really got me seeing how important this really is and that I had so much power to create a different change for myself. It also is more cost effective because although there's an additional cost for these tests, many women will actually find that you save money in the long run because we're not going to be trying countless supplements or different plans or going here or there. We know exactly what we're going to focus on and get you to your result quicker. Also, remember that these tests are going to be completely optional. The core of Mindfully Well is designed to be effective even without them. But for those of you who want to dive deeper and potentially see faster results, these can be a very invaluable tool. In the Mindfully Well program, I just don't teach you about health. I'm going to really empower you with real actionable knowledge about your body. Whether you choose to include lab testing or not, you're going to truly embark on a new journey of having personalized wellness for you. So, this is from my client, Chris Ann. She had said the stress management and coaching support and just the normalization of the struggle is so huge. It really took her from a time that could have been very dark and brought her back to light. And she was very thankful for this program. She can't wait to keep growing and learning. And my client, Tiffany, had lost 25 pounds in her first 4 months with me. She felt great. And she knew how to control her thoughts and emotions, but also nourish her body well. You really get the whole shebang in this program. No matter how overwhelming her day had got, she was still following through. So I want to just recap on what you get in Mindfully Well. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow too, but just so I can leave you with something for today, this round starts September 9. It goes to the end of the year. You're getting weekly accountability with me, where I will be checking in with you weekly. You get custom nutrition, movement, and lifestyle created by your health history, your symptoms. If you choose to do lab tests, I use those as well to create your protocol for the best results. We do group coaching calls for mindset related topics. So we have several group calls throughout the week. You can choose whichever ones you want to come to. And every week we're coaching around a different topic around what is going to be coming up for you at that point in your journey. And so I already know what's going to be coming up for you, and we're going to be coaching on that. So you are always ahead of the game. You also get the famous meal prep menu, which is going to help with your being on task for the week, knowing what you're eating, when you're eating, family friendly meals, breakfast and lunch are meal preppable. It makes it easy and doable for you. You also get the Mindfully Well curriculum, which is proven for success. I also have private podcasts for you to ease what you are learning so you can have it on the go. And then also I'm including strength workouts for home or gym so we can make sure to put muscle on your body and keep muscle on your body so you have balanced hormones and you can also be focusing on lifelong weight loss. And I'm also offering this to you guys here tonight first. There are only 8 spots left for the next round. I've already filled 41 spots. So there are 42 spots. I was like, the math ain't mathin'. So I have 8 spots left. So for those of you on the call tonight, you actually get first dibs on this. You will get a bonus one-on-one call if you sign up before Thursday at midnight. Now, keep in mind that this replay is going to go out here right after this. So if you want that one-on-one call, the bonus one-on-one call with me, you want to make sure and join the program tonight so that you can have that one-on-one call. So I put the link for the program right in here. You can go ahead, sign up tonight. I will email you tomorrow or I'll message you tomorrow and you'll be able to set up that one-on-one call with me. The one-on-one call is really great for setting up a roadmap for me to get to know you better, ask more questions about your health history, decide, do we want to do labs? Do we not want to do labs? And really get a full on scenario on you so that we can get you set up on the right step right away. I also think it's very comforting to talk to the program that you're joining. It can be very comforting in that too. So that can set us on the right foot and get you going sooner rather than later. So, again, I only have 8 spots left for this round. The first 5 people who join tonight, through Thursday at midnight is when I'll take this bonus away. You'll get a bonus 30-minute one-on-one call with me next week and we will get you set up. So, but that being said, remember that you must heal the root cause of weight gain and why your body is resisting weight loss. You can't just go into a calorie deficit and expect it to work at this point. But the good news is that there is so much that you can do and get your body to respond. And that is my job. That is what I help you do. That is what I know how to do. So join me inside Mindfully Well this next round. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about weight loss resistance and how to heal it. So we have been working our way up to this. Anyone with weight loss resistance is going to have a stress issue and they're going to have a hormonal imbalance, but then there are other factors that are going into this as well. And so to help you see weight loss resistance, not only in the physical form, but I'm also going to talk about weight loss resistance in the emotional mental form. Because the truth is, like, you could be doing everything perfectly, or you could know everything and everything that you have to do. But if you have resistance to follow through, if you have resistance to holding yourself accountable, if you have resistance to, just doing the thing, you're not going to lose weight, right? And what ends up happening is that you get excited, you join a program, you go all in, and then you slowly start to fall backwards. And this is because of emotional resistance. And this is part of Mindfully Well as well, right? In mind, we're using our minds and we're using our feelings to understand ourselves on to a deeper level. I can give you all the physical stuff in the world, but if we don't work on what's going on in your mind and in your heart and your feelings, you're not going to get as far as what you want. I want this to be the last time you ever attempt to lose weight. I want this to be the last time you ever have to join something new. I want this to be the lifestyle that truly sticks for you. And if I don't teach you how to think differently and how to feel differently, this is just going to be another program for you. And I am not interested in half-ass results. I'm interested in results that get you all the way there, all the way to feeling like you truly are living in the body that's yours. And that's why we encompass not only the physical weight loss, but we also encompass the stress and the emotional baggage, weight loss, the stuff that you're carrying around every day that is not serving you. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow as well. Make sure and reply back to the email today. I'm going to do 2 giveaways tomorrow, and it's our last day together. First 5 who sign up tonight get a bonus one-on-one call with me. I only have 8 spots left. I think your name is on it. Email me with any questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.